Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. I'm here today with a spoilery kind of talk about An Ember in the Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir. When I did the reading vlogs earlier this year and I lost my mind over these four books, and I made two reading vlogs in which I cried and cried and cried, and I'm sorry but I don't remember who it was. Someone commented saying that they did not like the books as much as I said they would, and they wanted to know what I personally loved about this series. So I thought it would be a good idea to do that video, and so today I'm here to talk about why it affected me so much. This is a fantasy series written by Sabaa Tahir, and it talks about a lot of things which I will get into later in this video. So first of all, before I begin, I must say that this is going to be spoiler filled, and I have to warn you, if you do not like spoilers and if you do not want to spoil yourself for the Ember in the Ashes series, then please do not watch this video. Stop watching it right here if you don't like spoilers. Now secondly, this series is about three people in the broader perspective: Laia, Elias and Helene Aquila. Laia works at her grandfather's apothecary, but one night martial guards come to their house and take away her brother, and her grandparents are killed, and Laia is now on the run. She feels guilty that she didn't save her brother, but her brother did ask her to run, and now she has to find a way to survive and to find a way to save her brother, because she isn't going to keep quiet. She isn't one to keep quiet. But we know Laia of this part, and we know of her when it comes to the end and her character development. She has a lot of self-doubts in the beginning, but as the books go on, her character develops, her self-confidence develops, and she knows what has to be done. And now on to Elias. Elias is training at Blackcliff Academy, where he is about to become a mask, a very feared member of the martial elite, soldier elite, and he has his own way of thinking. He does not completely agree with what's going on, and what he does in his little ways of rebellion and what he does is what he thinks is right, and how he follows his heart and how he follows his mind as well, which keeps him on the path that he is supposed to take. It forms his story. His story also intersects with Laia, obviously, in the very first book. She comes to Blackcliff Academy in order to try and kill the commandant, who is Keris Veturia. She is one of the most savage ladies, most evil, most cruel people ever to exist, and the antagonist that she is makes for very intriguing, gripping reading. And Elias and Laia's paths cross, and how it intertwines further, that is a journey to behold. You can read how their relationship develops, how they are willing to do things for each other as well as for the correct thing. If they think that something is right, then they will do it, and they will put their hearts and souls into it. They will accept it for what it is. They will accept the truth, and they will do everything in their power to make sure that it comes true. And that is what I love about Elias and Laia, is that they have this spark together. They understand each other very well. And then there is Helene Aquila, who is also about to become a mask, but she thinks that rules should be adhered to, that we need to pledge our allegiance to the throne, to the king, and she is rigid in her beliefs for a lot of parts. And I feel like her character development also takes place in such a wonderful manner, because from being this soldier, from being this elite soldier called and becoming a mask, into beginning to understand that her perspective is not the only one that is present, and her beliefs about scholars, who Laia is, by the way. The marshals have been repressing scholars for ages, and her beliefs about scholars, how they begin to change in the face of jinns and wraiths and ifrits and all of this whole magic system coming together, and a very ancient magic coming to wreak havoc in the lives of everybody present, and how Laia, Elias and Helene, along with some other people who my heart breaks thinking of, and how these people tackle the whole thing. It forms this whole magical, fantastical story that sort of has stayed with me. Okay, so the first thing that I really loved about this book is that it does not sugarcoat things. It tells us that doing the right thing is not easy. It takes a lot of courage to do the right thing, and especially when Laya and Elias are supposed to stay away from each other, but they do it because they believe in the right thing. And then it's not easy for Elias to give up his whole persona and whatever he's learned so far, and his relations, be it Laya, be it his best friendship with Helene, be it his relationship or lack of relationship with his mother Keris Victoria, and to give this all up, to give up the world and to become the soul catcher. His thinking begins to change as well. At the beginning he is pining, he is yearning, but with time he begins to accept that this is the right thing to do, and that he has to accept his role and his responsibility. Maybe better days will come, but for now he has to do this. He is the only one who can handle it. Helene Aquila becomes the Bloodstrike in towards the end of book 1 and at the beginning of book 2. I don't clearly remember, but she sticks to her roles and responsibilities because she knows that she has to be loyal to the throne. And even though her beliefs, her realizations are shocking her, that to see that Keris Victoria and the new emperor are not as good and as worthy of her allegiance as she thought they would be, she still does what she thinks is the right thing, and that also takes a lot of courage. Plus Helene also, when she is with Harper, she feels that sense of rightness when she is with him, but she's also very cautious because she somehow knows what might happen, so she's always on her toes. And this sort of uncertainty, it always takes a lot of courage to be on top of, because if you are uncertain and if you're still going through something, that does take a lot of courage to be aware on all sides, on both sides, because you need to be able to go in some direction once things starts crumbling down. And when they do crumble, oh my god, to have loved, that is what Helene thinks, but she also accepts her responsibilities and she knows what she has to do. Again, at the risk of sounding repetitive, Sabaa Tahir tells us that doing the right thing is difficult, but doing it is most important. The next thing that I absolutely loved about the series was that the trust issues that the characters have, they also translated into some sort of uncertainty or love on my behalf, because there's so much going on in the empire which is now being ruled by a bloodthirsty Marcus who wants power, who wants everything to be in his hands, that every single one of these characters are on their toes all the time, and for that they shouldn't be trusting of anybody who crosses their paths, and they have to be alert at all given times. And it is this uncertainty and this, you know, being on their toes of the characters that filled me with fright as well, because I didn't want these characters to suffer. I didn't want them to have any sort of pain. I just wanted to protect them. I wanted to save them from everything. And this was sort of like a thriller, because every single page turn I was like, please, 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 please do not do anything to this. And I'm not saying that in the positive way of a thrill, but it was this kind of fear that was entrenched in me. And when you fear for a character, it means that you are very attached to that character, and that's what I became. I became very attached to how brilliantly Sabaa Tahir has written each one of these characters and made them so humane, so human. And I think the transfer of trust issues from the character to the reader, which is me in this case, it was sort of very well founded, because there's a lot of things that happened, which I will talk further in this video, that sort of broke me, and I cried and I boiled like a baby. I even made a reel about it. The Ember Quartet by Sabaa Tahir. Did you see? That's exactly what happened. I will talk about in what all places I cried like that. And anyway, the uncertainty, the bloodthirstiness, the gore, the violence, the merciless way in which the story progressed while giving me hope for a better tomorrow in the story, this completely shook me and it took hold of my heart in ways that I really cannot explain, even though this whole video is exactly for that purpose. And then there were quite a few lessons that I learned. I mean, I knew them before, but these were sort of reiterating them into my mind. Like they were pressing them down and they were like, make sure you learn this. And the first one was that do not judge a person by the actions of their peers. And the example that I give here is Elias. Elias is a marshal, a feared mask, and the marshals are the one who have been ruling over the scholars, thinking that they are better than everybody else and they deserve to rule. And to see him accept himself and his responsibilities in the way that he did while doing unexpected things, it sort of gave me hope, because that story is sort of what made me think, like, what if we applied this to real life? How much better would life be? And that is the lesson, right? We cannot generalize. Maybe we should be kinder, put blame where it is necessary, but also acknowledge the goodness in certain places, whatever place it may be. Next reason why I love this is the commandant, Keris Veturia. Yes, the commandant is a reason, because she is so purely evil. There are no shades of grey over here. She's pure evil. She is ruthless, merciless, and because of that her plans are always very bloody. And to watch her in action, it sent shivers down my spine. And I don't just mean physical battle, I'm talking about the strategic and mental battles that she wages. They are simply bloodthirsty, I would say. She has a very selfish goal in mind for everything that she does. It's very obvious that she is doing everything for herself. She might look like she is subservient to the king, but she is really not. There's absolutely no cracks of light that Sabaa Tahir lets out through the chinks in Keris Veturia's armor by saying that, oh look, she is evil but she's also human, so maybe we will try to look at her human side and understand her reasons for being human. She has not done that. Keris Veturia is plain and simple evil. I mean, she is a villain, and the kind of villain that is sometimes just plain selfish and mean. We don't need a villain to have a noble cause behind it all sometimes. It doesn't make it any less of a joy to see her bested in battle, but to see her fighting to the very end for her own selfish means, and to see a villain believing in her own goals, whatever is there, believing that it is the right thing for her, so she has to fight for it, that is something that I'm absolutely in awe of. Don't get me wrong, I know she's the villain. I absolutely love what happens in the end, and I think that's part of what makes the series so great, is that it has conflicted heroes, but it also has this villain who has the upper hand about 90% of the time. To see these heroes fighting their way up and to fighting step by step and to completely come together towards the end in a way that it will simply blow your mind. Even now in hindsight, I'm like choking up while thinking about them. And the next point is the attachment that I formed to these characters, except Keris Veturia, of course. Like, it seems like I waxed poetic about how awesome Keris is, but no, she's just detestable. She's a villain, and the only thing that I like about her character is that she is a pure villain. Like, there's no shades of grey. There's absolutely nothing humane about her. But I must say that as I read this book, I fell in love with the main characters. Laya and Elias, of course. I loved them, and my heart beat for them throughout these books. But Helene and Harper will always hold a place in my heart. My heart is breaking as I just think about them. You will see why I'm going to talk more about it. I don't know how much longer this video is going to go, but it's so beautifully written every single one of these characters are. These characters, they dole out lessons in loyalty, love, friendship and duty, left, right and center. It's amazing to see, and to see their character development, what they were at the very beginning, like these very sweet, clueless kind of people, and to the people they become towards the end of the story. I was really amazed to see the way Sabaa Tahir has done this, to see their habits learned and unlearned, to watch them improve upon themselves and to do more than what is required of them, because the fate of the world rests upon their shoulders. And when they're doing all of this, how can one's affections not be roused? Like, how can one not feel an attachment to these characters? And I fell for them like hook, line and sinker. And somehow I knew that I needed to be careful with my affections when it came to these books, but I threw my affections at them very like wholeheartedly, like take it all. I don't need my heart, I don't need my affections, I don't need love. And it came back in tatters. And maybe that's what makes it so beautiful though, because even though my heart was bruised, and even though there's so much going on that made me feel the pain, and that is what good writing is all about, and that Sabaa Tahir has done in an amazing manner, and that's why I love the series so much. Okay, and then the thing that broke me the most, we are finally here at the point, and that is the deaths. So many deaths, so many unexpected deaths, these plot twists, I was not ready for. I mean, how can you be ready for something like this? And while I was talking about this attachment to these characters, right, that very attachment was my downfall. I said, no, my affections came back in tatters, and when these deaths happened, they made me bawl like a baby. Be it the way Laya's grandparents were treated, or how Helene's family was murdered in full view of a whole crowd, or how her sister was murdered, or how Harper died in battle. It all gave me such a huge sucker punch to the gut that even now I don't think I can recover, or I have recovered, or I don't know the order of that sentence, how it was supposed to go. I just felt like my heart had been ripped out of my chest, just torn apart and then put back. But maybe the reason why I love this series in the first place is because it made me feel so much. I had come to think of these characters as my friends and family, and to see their families being ripped out of their lives, it sort of made me feel like an extension of my family being ripped out of my life. The next point why I love this series is another lesson that Sabaa Tahir gives you throughout the book, is that your past isn't you. Throughout all the mind games, the strategies, the battles, the physical battles and the mental battles and all of this, Sabaa Tahir is telling you time and time again that the past may have made you into who you are, but it does not define you. You can always make yourself into a better person and look forward to a better future, and that gave me so much hope, and I absolutely loved that. Next point is another lesson that Sabaa Tahir is telling us, is that there's always a story behind a revenge. And as that last battle whirls around, where the jinns, the raids, the efreets, the marshals, the scholars, everybody is fighting. I mean, you realize way before this battle, but you realize that the jinns, they are fighting for something they believed was torn out of their hands. And who had torn this out of their hands? The scholars. And the marshals and the scholars are fighting because the marshals tore things out of the scholars' hands. And it's a bit of a loop over here, and you don't know which place to side, because there is truth, a bit of truth in all places, but you also get to the moral dilemma. Who is right here? Which part is right, and is each one of the fight correct, or what is it? What is exactly going on? And this is what makes this so intense also, that it makes you think in a lot of ways. And it is maybe in stories like these that we see the root cause of what is causing these people to take revenge, and say that maybe we need to see all sides of this. There are 3 sides to this that's happening, but when it comes to innocent civilians losing their lives, then there can be no compromise about it. Next is another lesson that Sabaa Tahir tells us is that prejudice can be erased. Helene Akila is a staunch supporter of the empire, of the emperor, and she believes that what the marshals have as rules and establishments and all of that, they are absolutely correct. But as the story progresses and she sees the scholar's side and she sees everything that's going on and what the marshals are doing, chip by chip by chip, her prejudice begins to drop off. And you know that this process takes time, but it will all be worth it in the end. So maybe if we all had some patience, even in real life, we would be able to do that. The last point that I loved is the action in here. I won't talk much about it because I've already mentioned before that the bloodthirsty, merciless, ruthless killings, they pretty much indicate that there's explosive action throughout the book. So I don't have to say more than that. But right from the very beginning, when Lyra's brother is taken and her grandparents are treated that way, and then to the prison break, and then the scuffles with bandits, there's assassinations, there's a ton of other, executions, and then right to the very point where there's a full-blown war. The action in there is very well orchestrated and executed, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. So I think I've covered all of the reasons why I love the Ember in the Ashes series. That was me talking about why I love the Ember in the Ashes series, and I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I know it was full of spoilers. So what did you think of this video? Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you've already read An Ember in the Ashes series, did you like the series? Did you enjoy it? Which book was your absolute favorite? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.